Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is now the 5th episode of True Crime Thursday, so woohoo! If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. I don't know what you're doing if you're not subscribed, because hello, just join the gang already. Now the case that we're gonna get into today, this shirt might give you a clue if you can read it. It says University of Toronto right here. Now basically, if you guys don't know already, I went to the University of Toronto, and the case that I'm talking about today also took place at the St. George campus, which I studied at. So this one was kind of close to home, and because it happened at my alma mater, I was like, okay, I have more insight and know-how of this location more than any other case. So I feel like it would be interesting if I explored this one, so let's get into it. What happened at the University of Toronto? Today's episode of True Crime Thursday is the undetectable murder of a UofT professor. Not a professor that I had. He was a professor at school long before I even went there. But yeah, let's get into it. Also, you guys, I thought this case would be a really good opportunity to actually go to the crime scene. Well, obviously this happened so long ago, so it's no longer a crime scene, but because I live pretty nearby the campus and the building that this took place in, I was like, why don't we go on site and look at where this atrocity happened. So more of those clips later on. But for now, the victim. Born in 1951, David Buller grew up in Willowdale in the north of Toronto and worked as a fine arts professor at the University of Toronto St. George campus. If you guys don't know, there are 3 campuses associated with this university. The UTM campus, which is Mississauga, the UTSC, which is Scarborough, and of course St. George, which is the downtown campus. Now, before becoming a professor, David studied at the Ontario College of Art, also known as OCAD, and Concordia University. Unfortunately, because David wasn't really a public figure, I couldn't really find that much information about his early life other than where he had gone to school. He was also an openly gay man who lived in the West End part of Toronto and didn't have any children nor a partner. David also explored the male sexuality and homoeroticism in his own work. Now, according to David Riffat, the man who hired Buller, he was just a nice, charming person who was passionate and good at what he did. At UofT, the student union came out with the ASSU anti-calendar, which stands for the Arts and Science Students Union anti-calendar. And basically what that is, it's kind of like Rate My Prof, except it was just for UofT students, and we were the ones filling out the prof's ratings. Sorry you guys if you're getting distracted by Nini's tail. She's looking for something, and she's not finding it. Nini, we're doing serious crime stuff. Sorry about that. So students would rate the course itself and teacher for every single course being offered at the university. The instructor had to be evaluated in categories like presentation, teaching, communication, enthusiasm, and so on. The course itself had categories like difficulty, workload, etc. And David was evaluated as very encouraging, committed, organized, and welcoming. His office was located in the 2nd floor art studio at the 1 Spadina Crescent, and that is where he met his untimely demise on the 18th of January 2001, 15 years after working at the university. So what happened? So guys, this is a map of the university's downtown campus, and we are going here, Spadina Crescent. That's where his building was. That's where we're going. St. George. This is the university bookstore, you guys. One of many. So if wasting your money at university isn't enough for you, you can also buy hundreds of dollars worth of books for every course that you're in. Don't do it, you guys. Always buy secondhand and from older students. Never buy it outright, because don't be dumb. On to the case. Now, it was broad daylight. The Fine Arts building was full of faculty members and students, and David Buller was sitting in his office working on some things. At some point before 2 p.m, the perpetrator walked into David's office and had the audacity to murder the professor in such a public place. Now, I say public because there was a staff members going away party taking place that day on the floor below David's that had 150 people in attendance. nights. And shockingly enough, despite so many people being in the building at the time, his body wasn't found until the next day. At 7 a.m. the day after, a cleaning lady entered his office and found his body on the ground. Now, the scene was a complete mess. The chair had been pushed over and the computer's cords had been ripped out of the wall and wrapped around the chair's legs. David had been attacked pretty badly. He had been stabbed multiple times in the chest and shoulder and just left to then bleed out and die. Now, the police interviewed guests of the going away party who claimed they had heard an argument coming from the second floor, followed by a loud thud and then loud footsteps. And just hearing all that is suspicious enough. I would have definitely at least gone upstairs to check what had happened, because hearing that thud would have been a massive red flag for me. Either way, loud noises aside, no one saw anyone suspicious leave from that area or exit the building for that matter. But that's also really not that surprising. UofT buildings are honestly a maze. There are certain buildings that I had class in for years and I still didn't know how to get around them. Like my own college, University College, was a nightmare to navigate, so hiding or not being seen in the campus building is really not that hard. Now, David's autopsy results showed that he suffered multiple injuries and had quite a lot of trauma on his body. So this is 1 Spadina Crescent. So this is the fateful building where everything happened. And to be honest, me and Julian were just discussing it. How eerie does this building look? Like, if you were to die in this building, like, that's pretty fucking eerie. Okay, so this is Daniel's building. This is what it looks like on the outside. And the Daniel's faculty is our architecture and arts faculty. And honestly, you guys, like, what an eerie building. Like, look at the shot of the dead tree and the very, you know, old designed buildings. But it's also very pretty. Like, UofT is a pretty campus. It's very Hogwarts-esque. But you can see all the construction that's, you know, taking place over here. So I'm gonna try and go in somehow. Let's see if it's open. And I will let you guys know. I've taken my mask off because it's literally just me and Julian here. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous on trying to get in, but let's give it a go. Despite investigators tracking down some suspects, no one was ever arrested for the professor's murder. But there is always speculation as to what could have happened, so let's get into it. The theories. Now, before I get into the theories, let's just get one thing straight. Since this is my own university that I went to, I have a bit more knowledge and know-how about this case than I would have with other cases. Now, one fact I know to be true is that almost every building on campus is accessible to literally everyone. Other than residence buildings where students need an actual key or at least a card to get in, I'm talking libraries, faculty buildings, class buildings, they can all be accessed by literally anyone. So the question of how did the killer get into the building is null, since that's how they got into the building. They just walked in. So the main entrance is blocked off, but this is one of the side entrances. It says building closure, only open to staff and essentials. Maybe I can show you guys what it looks like this. Am I trespassing? Is that illegal? Okay, I'm gonna see if I can try and get in through another one. Okay, keep in mind, guys, so his office was on the 2nd floor at the back of the building. I'm just gonna sort of take a guess, obviously, where I think his office was.
Yeah, this looks like you.
Anywho, theory number 1. Now, the first theory has everything to do with David's sexuality. In one of his last series of paintings titled Strip, David photographed a bunch of nearly naked men and juxtaposed them with really well-known iconic images. And think about it, this man was in the closet his whole life because of the conservative neighborhood he grew up in and only came out in adulthood. Now, the first theory suggests that the murderer was a huge homophobe and killed the professor just to make a statement. I think David definitely knew his assailant because the proximity of the attack was so close, meaning he had willingly let this person into his space and was comfortable, or at least had his guard down around them. This homophobic killer didn't really need to know the layout of the building because he could have hid anywhere. Like I said, these buildings are hard to navigate. Stairs led everywhere, to the front door, to the smaller exit door on the east side of the building. There were even 2 emergency exits, but neither of their alarms were triggered that day, meaning the culprit did not exit through them. And that could also possibly be because the culprit either didn't leave the building till hours later, or they had their own way of getting out. Perhaps the person was an attendee of the going away party, or maybe they just used the party as a way of blending in before making their escape. I don't know. His family, however, said him being gay was too easy and stereotypical a reason for his murder. So was it really a homophobic person who had seen his work online and then come in and killed him? A homophobic student, perhaps? You tell me. So you guys, this is the main entrance of the building at 1 Spadina Crescent. Now, as you can see, it looks pretty new and it looks pretty modern. That's because this is not the building that was here in 2001 when the incident took place. The whole building has been renovated, including obviously David's office. So even if I did go into the building, I would not find his exact, obviously, office that was there in 2001, but I still wanted to show you guys what room was there and what room replaced his office, but I don't think I can because of the closures and COVID. But yes, this was the building that he was murdered in. And welcome to my true crime show, everyone. So as you can see, because the building is in a roundabout, it's literally surrounded by so many buildings and houses and residential areas. And look at all the traffic that's going, and the main campus is right down there. Like, this red building is part of the main campus. So this whole thing is very much centrally on campus. And yes, someone just got away with it. Someone just walked out, walked into any of these surrounding buildings and was never seen again. Theory number 2. The second theory was suggested by David's sister, who said it could have been one of his romantic partners that killed him. Now, the professor was a very private person. He didn't mix his social life with his family life at all. Those 2 parts of his life were kept very, very separate. And because of that, there was almost a whole side of David's life that his family had no idea about. He would occasionally hire male prostitutes and would date various men, but nothing really extended into anything serious. Most dates were really just a cup of coffee and nothing more. So based on that, his sister thought it could be one of those tossed aside lovers that was angry and decided to retaliate. And normally I would think, why would anyone be so butthurt, pun intended, over a rejection that they'd go and kill the person? But then I think about the number of men who have been rejected and then end up shooting up a bunch of women out of hate, so I was like, oh, okay, that does make sense. But the detail that made me think this theory could be true was the fact that David's close friend from childhood said she didn't even know where his office was and had never been to the campus. None of his best friends had been to the campus. That's how separate all aspects of his life were. So he must have been close to the person or known them well enough for them to even know where his office was. Maybe it was a friend or lover that no one knew about since he was a private person. It could be, and that's probably why they didn't catch a suspect either. Okay, I just wanted to do a 360 view of the whole building. So I'm assuming this is where the trash goes. Another exit over here. So obviously the back part of the building has been renovated. The front part is still very much the original construction. Another exit right there, ladies and gentlemen. How do I zoom in on this shit? Sorry. Another exit right over there. Another exit and entrance right over there. See, there's literally a public school over here. Public school, Spadina Crescent. Public school, Spadina Crescent. You're telling me this professor was murdered right next to a public school where there's so many little fucking kids running around. Literally, here is what it says. Theory theory number 3. The third theory claims that it was a student angry about the grade they got who went after David. But isn't that just extremely petty? Who kills a professor over getting like a C? And besides, other staff members shared that students treated David as more of a friend rather than their superior. Now, he had one argument with a former student, but police investigated that claim and assured everyone the student had no involvement. Maybe it was someone else, another student. David's office was at the back of the building and it would have been hard to find unless the person knew where to go, which supports the fact it could have been a student who knew an event would be going on that day and decided to take advantage of all the havoc going on and go for the kill. Now, those are all the theories that pertain to this case, you guys. Honestly, I'm stumped at who would do this. I definitely think it could have been a homophobic person, but why would they go out of their way so much so to go to this building, find this professor and kill him? Like, Toronto is a very liberal city and there are a lot of openly gay men who live here. If anything, if this person really wanted to make a statement, they would go to Church Street, not kill a random university professor. Church Street is where most of the, I guess, gay population in Toronto live, to be honest. I don't know a better way to say that. Isn't it so weird that any one of these second floor windows could have been David's actual office? This is very weird for me personally. Sorry, I'm so zoomed in. How do I unzoom myself? Guys, this is very weird for me, only because I've never been this close to and able to actually investigate like one of the cases that I'm talking about on my channel in real life. Like, it's always in America or the UK or somewhere else. The fact that like this is so close to my house is very unsettling, but also extremely exciting. But yeah, this case really had me stumped, and the fact it took place at UofT was also very strange for me because I'm like, I was actually there. Had he been alive, he could have been my prof at one point. Okay, no, he couldn't have because I wasn't in fine arts, I was in performing arts, but still. I don't know, man, I don't know. I feel like if they were looking for the office and they asked around, they could have found his office easily despite the buildings being very complex to navigate. Because I mean, there are arrows everywhere showing where you need to go if you need to go somewhere, you know? So I'm like, the person didn't necessarily have to know the layout of the building in order to commit the crime, but it would have helped a lot. I definitely think 100% whatever it is, I definitely think the person knew David and David knew his killer, which is just horrible, isn't it? I mean, clearly they knew each other. He invited them in. They had some sort of argument that people heard, and then next thing you know that he's been killed. Someone knows what happened, honestly. This person has just lived with this murder his whole life or her whole life, and they are about to get justice. I swear to God, I will come for them. I will find who did this. But still, like, it's been 20 years and no one knows what happened. Like, I don't know how someone killed someone in a building with so many people and not a single person saw them leave. Like, it's just so suspicious. So basically, now we are about to leave One Spadina Crescent. Unfortunately, you guys saw we were not allowed inside the building, and I really wanted to have that content for you guys so we could actually go into the building, go where his office used to be, and see what the fuck really happened. But unfortunately, because of how the world is at the moment and circumstances, we cannot go inside. But still, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought happened in the comments below. As always, I've been Ayman. Thank you to my lovely boyfriend for helping me film this today. Bye guys.